Sometimes the best things happen by accident. A painter spills a drop of color, and it becomes the heart of the masterpiece. A chef drops a spice and discovers a new flavor. It happens in music all the time. A fumbled chord, a cracked voice, a misread lyric. Most of the time, these things are fixed. The producer says, let's take it again from the top. The tape is wiped. The mistake is erased from history. But sometimes it isn't. Sometimes the mistake is better than what was planned. It has a truth to it. A raw human quality that you can't get from a perfect performance. And every once in a while, a mistake is so good, so right, that it becomes the most famous part of the song. It becomes the thing everyone remembers. This is a story about a mistake like that. A mistake made by the biggest star in the world, in a recording studio in Hollywood, on a winter's day in 1957. A mistake that changed a song from a dark, gritty blues number into a timeless romantic plea. A mistake that was, in reality, not a mistake at all, but it felt like one. It felt like a compromise. And it tells you everything you need to know about the man, his career, and the pressures he was under. To understand the mistake, you have to picture the room. It's February 1957. We're at Radio Recorders, an annex on Santa Monica Boulevard. It's not a fancy place. It's a functional working studio. The walls are probably covered in acoustic tiles that have seen 1,000 sessions. The air is thick with the smell of hot vacuum tubes, stale coffee, and cigarette smoke. This is where sound is captured, tamed, and pressed into wax. The man at the center of it all is just 22 years old. But he's already the king. He's the most famous person on the planet. Every move he makes is news. Every song he releases goes straight to the top of the charts. He has the raw energy of a lightning storm and a voice that can be either a sneer or a whisper. He's a walking, talking revolution. With him are his guys, his musical family. Scotty Moore is on electric guitar. His playing is clean, sharp, and inventive. He's not a flashy soloist, but his licks are the bedrock of the new sound. Bill Black is on the big stand-up bass, slapping the strings to create that distinctive, percussive rhythm. DJ Fontana is behind the drum kit, laying down a simple, powerful beat. They've been with him since the beginning, back in Memphis when it was all just a wild experiment. They have a chemistry that can't be manufactured, they breathe together. The thing is, the pressure is different now. The early days were about freedom. They were in a small studio, Sun Records, with a guy named Sam Phillips, who encouraged them to mess around, to make noise, to see what would happen if they played a blues song like it was a country song, or a country song like it was a gospel song. There were no rules. Now there are rules. Big rules. They're on a major label, RCA Victor. The company has invested a fortune in this kid. They expect hits, they expect records that will sell millions of copies to teenagers all over America. And they have people watching, producers, engineers, executives, people who worry about what you can and can't say on the radio. People who worry about offending parents, preachers, and politicians. The song they are working on is not one of his. He's a brilliant interpreter. He can take a song from almost any genre, run it through his own unique filter, and make it his own. This particular song is a rhythm and blues number. It was originally recorded a few years earlier by a New Orleans musician named Smiley Lewis. Smiley Lewis's version is a different beast entirely. It's raw, it's heavy, it's a slow, grinding blues tune full of regret. The lyrics are what you'd call adult. They tell the story of a man who has crossed the line and is now living with the consequences. The key line, the heart of the song, is stark and honest. One night of sin, he sings, his voice full of gravel and pain is what I'm now paying for. It's a powerful statement. It's about transgression and consequence. It's the kind of lyric that feels real because it comes from a place of genuine human experience. It's the blues. The blues isn't supposed to be clean. It's supposed to be messy. It's about the hard parts of life. The young king loves this song, he feels it. That blend of desire and regret is something he understands in his bones. He wants to record it. He wants to sing those words. So, in an earlier session, about a month before this one, he did. He recorded a version that was faithful to the original. He sang the line, "One night of sin is what I'm now paying for." And by all accounts, it was an incredible performance. It was dark, moody, and intense. It had that dangerous edge that made his early records so thrilling. You can imagine him in the studio, eyes closed, channeling all the loneliness and longing that came with his suffocating fame. He wasn't just singing the words, he was living them. That version was the truth. But the truth was a problem. RCA, his label, and his manager, the infamous Colonel Tom Parker, heard it and they balked. Sin was not a word you could sing on mainstream radio in 1957. It was too suggestive. It was too direct, it would scare people, it would limit airplay, it would hurt sales. The revolution had to be televised, as they say, but it also had to be radio-friendly. The Colonel's job was to turn his client from a regional phenomenon into a global brand. Part of that meant sanding down the rough edges. It meant making him palatable for the masses. It meant making sure the product was safe for consumption. A song celebrating a night of sin was not safe. It was a commercial liability, so the order came down. The song couldn't be released like that. The master tape was shelved. The performance, as powerful as it was deemed unusable. This must have been a strange moment for the artist. He was at the peak of his power, yet he wasn't entirely in control. He had to answer to the business. The raw, unfiltered creativity that had gotten him here was now being filtered. He was being asked to compromise. He was being asked to change the very heart of a song he loved. So here we are, back at Radio Recorders in February. They are going to try it again. But this time they have to fix the problem. They have to change the lyrics. Think about that challenge. How do you change the central theme of a song without destroying it? How do you take out the sin but keep the soul? Someone, it's not clear who, came up with a solution. It was a simple, almost surgical change. 2 words. Just 2 words would be altered. Sin would become you. Pain would become praying. It seems small on paper, but in the context of the song, it's a seismic shift. The entire meaning is transformed. One night of sin is what I'm now paying for is a statement of bitter regret. It's a song about looking back at a mistake with a heavy heart. The character in the song is damned. One night with you is what I'm now praying for is a statement of desperate longing. It's a song about looking forward with hope. The character is not damned, he is devoted. He is a romantic. The song is no longer about the consequences of a physical act. It is now about the yearning for an emotional connection. It's been converted from a gritty blues confession into a tender pop ballad. It has been made safe. It has been cleaned up for public consumption. So, the tape starts rolling. The band kicks in, Scotty, Bill, DJ. They lay down a groove that's a little softer, a little less menacing than the original. The arrangement is gentler. The mood is different. It's less like a back alley bar and more like a lonely bedroom. And then he steps to the microphone. He has to sing the new words. He has to sell this new emotion. He has to make it believable. He closes his eyes and the new line comes out. One night with you is what I'm now praying for. And this is where the mistake happens. Not a mistake in the sense of a wrong note or a flubbed word. He sang the new lyric exactly as he was supposed to. The mistake was an artistic one, a compromise forced by commerce. He had to abandon the raw truth of the original for a sanitized, radio-friendly version. He had to trade the grit for something smoother. In that moment, he wasn't the untamed rebel from Memphis anymore. He was a professional recording artist doing his job. But here's the magic. Here's why he was the king. Even in that moment of compromise, he found a different kind of truth. He didn't just phone it in. He poured a different part of himself into those new words. If the first version was about raw, physical desire, this new one was about a deep, almost spiritual vulnerability. When he sings praying, his voice is filled with a genuine sense of pleading. It's not an act. You can hear the ache in it. He sells the line completely. He makes you believe that this one night is the only thing in the world that matters. He takes the compromised lyric and elevates it. He turns a commercial necessity into an emotional tour de force. The performance he gives is stunning. It's one of the most intimate vocals of his career. He's not shouting or snarling. He's singing softly directly into your ear. You feel like he's confessing something to you and you alone. The mistake, the changed lyric, forced him to find a new emotional core for the song. And the one he found was, in its own way, just as powerful as the original. Maybe even more so, for a different reason. The original Sin version spoke to a specific adult experience. It was niche. The new Praying version spoke to a universal human emotion, the desperate longing to be with someone you love. Every teenager with a crush could understand that. Every soldier overseas dreaming of his sweetheart could understand that. The song was no longer a cautionary tale, it was an anthem of desire. The take was finished. The producer listened back, the executives listened back, everyone agreed. This was the one. This was the hit. The compromise had worked. The mistake was a success. When the record was released, it was a smash. It shot up the charts. It was played on every radio station, from the big city broadcasters to the small town AM signals that crackled in the night. Nobody in the mainstream audience knew about the original lyric. They didn't know about the sin. They only heard the prayer. They heard the beautiful, pleading voice of a young man begging for one night with the person he loves. And they loved it. The song became one of his most iconic ballads. It was a staple of his concerts. It was a song that could quiet a screaming stadium and make every person in the audience feel like he was singing just to them. The changed lyric, the so-called mistake, is the reason for its enduring power. It unlocked the song's universal appeal. It allowed it to transcend its bluesy origins and become a part of the global pop lexicon. Years later, long after he was gone, the archivists and the collectors started digging through the vaults at RCA. They found the old tapes, they found the first attempt, they found the unreleased master of him singing the original words. Finally, the world got to hear it. The One Night of Sin version was released on a box set, and for the first time, fans could compare the two. Listening to them back to back is a fascinating experience. It's like looking at two portraits of the same person, painted by two different artists. The Sin version is incredible. It's raw, powerful, and thrillingly dangerous. It's the sound of the young, untamed artist who was about to turn the world upside down. It's pure, uncut rock and roll straight from the source. You hear it and you understand why the parents were so scared. It's the sound of rebellion. The Praying version is also incredible, but for a completely different reason. It's polished, vulnerable, and heartbreakingly beautiful. It's the sound of the global superstar, the romantic icon. It's a performance of immense control and emotional depth. It's not the sound of rebellion, it's the sound of yearning. So which one is better? It's an impossible question. They are both essential. They show the two sides of his genius. One is the fire, the other is the heart. One is the body, the other is the soul. The story of this song and its central mistake is the story of his career in miniature. It's the story of a raw, natural talent being shaped and molded by the forces of commerce and celebrity. It's a story of compromise, but it's also a story of how a true artist can find truth even within constraints. He could be given a cleaned-up lyric and still make it sound like the most important confession in the world. He didn't make a mistake when he sang the wrong word. The mistake was that he was ever asked to change it in the first place. But his genius was in taking that compromised moment and turning it into something beautiful and everlasting. He made the commercial decision feel like an artistic one. He made the prayer sound just as profound as the sin. Most artists would have resented being forced to change a lyric. They might have delivered a lifeless performance out of protest. He did the opposite. He dug deeper. He found a new way in. He proved that his emotional range was limitless. He could give you the sinner or the saint and make you believe in both. The mistake, the compromise, the change of a single word didn't weaken the song. It created a second parallel masterpiece. It gave us two classics for the price of one. It gave us a unique window into the pressures and the genius of the most famous man in the world, alone in a studio, turning a calculated business decision into a moment of pure, honest art. He took what he was given and made it gold. That's what made him the king. The song, of course, is One Night.